Very good. Very good means time to move on.
Yeah.
All right, so we're speeding through it a little bit because we've still got the calves to get into, which is another spot Ninja loves. Yeah,
Really?
we both forgot about that one, didn't we?
No, I thought you were just sort of implying it.
No, we're going to treat the calves.
Okay.
Because they're tight, mate. They need to be released.
You've got to be comprehensive, Jace.
Yeah, comprehensive.
See what the good folk at home could be experiencing.
That's right. So again, he wants to feel a lot of tension in his glutes, like they're sort of stretching and opening up. Bit of probably tension in his hamstrings as well. And then from there, he's standing up and squeezing through. G'day guys, Jason Ninja here. Today we are fixing your chronic calf pain and why you get chronically tight calves. It could be something to do with your posture and it could be this. Let's turn side onto the camera, Ninja. So a lot of people we see that have this chronic calf tightness is you have an anterior pelvic shift. So your weight shifts forward over your forefoot, and what this causes is essentially you are doing a calf raise the whole time. And also, if you look up the chain, as Ninja's hips shift forward, he is actually unable to activate and get good tension in through his glutes. So he's trying to recruit through his calves more. And then if you're training on top of this, you're running, you're doing exercise in the gym, you're always using those calves because that's hip shifted forward. You're not actually able to extend from that position there. So you're standing there and then you're thinking, yes, training's going to help that, but your calves get tight after every time you go for a run because that pattern is cemented in. So what we're going to do is we're going to address the cause. Yes, we're going to treat the calves to take some tension out of here, but we're also going to look at Ninja's hips. So a lot of the time it's these hip flexors that are pulling him forward and the adductors. So we're going to treat adductors, hip flexors, and then we're going to get through the calves, and then we're going to show you some exercises to start to implement to get that tension out of your calves. All right, so let's get Ninja on the table and get into it. All right, so we're starting with Ninja's favorite spot, iliacus. All right, so I always end up treating Ninja's iliacus in these videos, and he loves it.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, a hip flexor that is quite common for pulling your hips forward or causing that anterior tilt. So we're just slowly sinking in there. We can already feel that it's pretty tight there on Ninja. So just take a couple of deep breaths in and out. So he's just trying to let this area relax. It is pretty sensitive, so we go in nice and slow to start with. We don't just go straight into the depth. It's just easing our way in and feeling where that tension is in the superficial layers first, and then just waiting for those spots to melt. All right, so just holding, we're not moving or rubbing around in there. We're just going direct to where we feel that tension. And this is like our palpation. If we feel it's not too bad in the spot we start, we can slightly change our angle one way. Just by shifting my body, I can change my angle that's now more down that way, which it feels like there's a bit more in there for Ninja.
Yep.
So we're just gonna pin and hold. And we're just waiting for it to melt there. So yeah, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 1 minute, depending on how long this posture's been ingrained in someone. So yeah, it's not a set time. We don't go, all right, we've treated this for 2 minutes, time to move on. It's all about what we're feeling and what the client's feedback is. Oh yeah, I can feel it releasing, or I can feel it under my thumb, I can feel it's getting softer, I'm getting in deeper. So constantly communicating about what's going on and why that posture is happening. So yeah, the muscles at the front of the hip and the pelvis are too tight and maybe too overactive, so they're pulling the hips forward and you're not able to, your body doesn't know how to shift that weight back. So that's why we're going to go through some exercises, because yeah, we can treat the muscles, but if you don't address the weakness or the imbalance in the muscles on the other side, and you don't teach your body how to shift back, then yeah, the treatment's going to give you some relief, but long term, you're probably always going to be getting those symptoms come back. So that's why we address the cause, not just the pain. Isn't that right, Ninja?
Correct.
That's why we're in your hip flexors now. Just because you love it so much.
Yeah. It's great. Iliacus rhymes with Marcus.
That's
that?
some of your sharpest work.
Yeah, you like that?
You're talking better this week, I reckon, mate. You are on.
On the mushies, you reckon?
Yeah.
We both needed it last week, didn't we?
Yeah, the voice was a bit stumbly.
A bit gibberish.
Yeah, I thought I spoke pretty well, but no,
Yeah.
once the recording stopped, Leo couldn't stop laughing. Turns out I can't talk.
Yeah.
but I can treat, so that's what I'm going to stick to.
There's one video where I was treating your back or something. Aaron just replays it.
Yeah.
The start of the...
I don't know if you're saying scapula or spine, but...
I was going halfway. I was like...
So getting back to the treatment, once we've released that spot and we feel like it's softened up just by holding, we can actually start to passively move through there. So Ninja's trying to stay as relaxed as he can. And then we're just slowly moving through so we can feel where those hip flexors might still be getting a bit tight. You can't see where I'm pushing there, but I'm in that same spot. And we're just feeling for where those hip flexors flick up, or yeah, we get an indication from Ninja that there's any sort of pain or tightness still in there. Moving through. It's feeling pretty good. So it's started to soften up already. And we can sink back out. We might just go a little bit higher just to check if there's anything up there, which there is. And then this is how we're doing it. We're just slowly working around, pinning different spots, waiting until they melt, and then we start to move on. We're also asking for feedback. Is that where you feel it? Do you feel it more down that way? If I push towards the table. But for me, it's if I sink down and then push out.
Yeah.
And do you get any referral sensations, Ninja, or are you just localized?
Just local, man.
Just local.
Pretty uncomfortable.
Pretty uncomfortable, yeah. Takes a bit to breathe through this one.
Yeah.
Try not to laugh as well. It's one of the things I struggle getting treated in here.
I was kicking you out a little bit before too, wasn't I? Laughing.
Nope. On for a wander. And
Cameraman wants a bit more light.
We'll sink out of that one. All right, so for video's sake, I'm going to move on. We're going to go through the adductors and the groins. So we'll get the bolster out of the way. So I'm supporting, make sure you're nice and covered, nothing's getting shown. And then we're just going right up into that adductor money spot. So yeah, adductors are one of those hidden gems that a lot of people don't, or you're not able to stretch it yourself very effectively. It's hard to actually release on yourself. But it's just an area that does get chronically tight and overlooked. A lot of people treat through the quads. And yes, we might look into your quads as well, but today we're just going to show you two of the key spots that we find. And we're just slowly sinking in there. Again, taking our time. It's a pretty brutal spot.
Yeah. Money spot.
That's it.
Groin money spot.
So we're just pinning high up into those tendons, so right where they attach onto the pubic bone. So if we're not sure, we can ask Ninja, can you just move your junk out of the way, just so we don't clip anything. But yeah. Or if you're a female and you need treatment, yeah, we're just, you can give us a guide of where your pain is so we actually get them to point there so we know where we are. And yeah, we can do this treatment through clothes, through leggings, jeans, whatever. So it's just making sure that the person's comfortable on the table, but we're still able to access the point of pain or tension. So I'll just start to increase a bit of pressure there by moving my elbow, so changing the angle. So it started off quite flat, which is a bit broader, a bit easier to receive. And then once I found the tight spot, we start to just slowly change that angle. Pressure stays the same, but the intensity shifts a bit more just because you're getting a bit more pointy. And we can just angle a bit more in towards that pubic bone. Or if I just shift my pressure, now it's more just hitting that tendon. So my pressure's now down that way. Or if I push, I'm more going that way now. Okay, so that's the slight subtle differences that you might not be able to see on camera, but trust me, there's plenty of difference under their pressure in their knees when you're receiving it. So what does it feel like that way for you?
That's down the tendon is probably okay. But when you kind of
go back in that way.
Back in, for me.
Feels a bit more that way, yeah.
Yeah, both are pretty.
He's not loving both.
Yeah. Get used to it after a little bit.
Yeah, that's why we take our time to get in there. We don't want the client to feel like that we're pushing past those boundaries, building the trust, just going at the rate the tissue's allowing. Yeah, although it's deep, it's trying to find that therapeutic sensation. We're not just inflicting pain for the sake of it. And we can also start to introduce a little bit of movement, again, just passive. Shorten that area and then slowly let it relax and open it up. So yeah, by releasing this, we're going to allow you to start to shift your weight back more onto your heels, start to try and access more of your glutes, because they might have become inactive or a bit weaker compared to your quads and your anterior side. As we said, you're not able to properly extend the hip from that position. So we want to teach you some exercises later on in the video that are going to teach you how to feel like your glutes are lengthening and opening up, and then contracting and compressing and actually getting some activation through there. And then showing a dynamic movement and exercise that's going to start to cross over so that you know where your body is and how it's moving. All right, so we'll sink out of that one. And then you might have to come around the other side, Leo. We'll do the other side as well. Swap over there.
Mate, do you have to?
Yeah, we got to even you out, Nate. You'll be running around in circles. You'll be training.
I'll be right.
You'll be doing the exercises lopsided.
I'll be right, mate.
You'll have one glute stronger than the other. We can't have that.
Oh, come on.
Need balance. It's all about balance in the body ninja. You should know that.
Balance.
What do you reckon? It's overrated at this point?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's changed his whole philosophy on life just purely to avoid hip flexor treatment.
Yep. Leonardo da Vinci balance, wasn't it? Do you remember that?
Nah, you've gone over my head on that one,
come
Ninge.
on. You know that one.
You'll have to talk to me about that one a bit later on.
All right.
Feels like not as tight on this side. You feel like you're coping a bit better.
It's all right, yeah.
Still gritting the teeth though. The platysma's getting a little bit of a workout.
Yeah. Look up obscure anatomy if you don't know what
That's
platysma is.
You can actually treat the platysma.
Yeah.
Ninja's shown that before.
Yeah. Did I do the video with you?
You did with me, yeah. I think I've been
platysma.
in a few of your obscure anatomies.
Yeah.
Pyramidalis.
Pyramidalis.
Pectineus.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Couple of Ninja's favourite videos.
Yeah. Obscure anatomy. Have a look at the series if you haven't already. Learn.
Right, muscles you might not know about that could be causing you pain. It's a bit like what we're doing here, just showing you reasons your calf could be tight. So I'm not saying that this is always what you're going to have, but yeah, if you notice that when you look in the mirror, your hips are sort of shifting forward and your body looks like it's not in alignment, this is what could be causing it. Just pinning and holding, we can feel that softening up. Wait for it to melt, change our angles.
It's good stuff.
It's good.
Yeah.
He's able to talk, so that's a good sign. It's
Yeah.
releasing off.
Very good.
And then, very good. Very good means it's time to move on.
Yeah.
All right, so we're speeding through it a little bit because we've still got the calves to get into, which is another spot Ninja
really?
loves. Yeah,
Really?
we both forgot about that one, didn't we?
No, I thought you were just sort of implying it.
No, we're going to treat the calves
Okay.
because they're tight, mate. They need to be released.
Got to be comprehensive, Jace.
Yeah, comprehensive.
See what the good folk at home could be experiencing.
That's right.
Yeah. Way it works.
You'll be moving real quick this week, Ninja. After this
Mate.
treatment, you
Yeah.
won't know yourself.
Speedy Gonzales, they
Yeah.
call me.
We'll pull your marker back a couple of metres at sprints.
Yeah, mate. I'm up for it. I'm ready. We were, me and Aaron, we're talking a bit about some new stuff for sprints, or just
Okay.
not new drills or anything, but just a new little format.
Okay.
Have some-
I've got a new little. I've one that I did back in my sprint club. I thought it could be a good little exercise.
Yeah, got some
might bring that one
surprises.
to the table if you're keen.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, we can also take note of each side, seeing whether one side is tighter than the other. Might give us an indication. There might be a lack of strength more on one side as well. So just taking note, this side doesn't feel as tight through the groin either. Alright, and we'll shuffle on there. We'll get Ninja to roll over. We'll do you a quick demo of how we treat the calves. Get that one out of the way for you, Ninja. Chuck your towel down.
Thank you.
Alright, where's our wax gone? grab our bolster so we're not crushing his ankles. And then let's get into it. Bit of wax on the palms. And then let's just explore through. So staying connected, starting there, sinking in. So we pick up the slack, and then we're going to slowly work through there. So we want to make sure that we get rid of that tension and that potential pain that you're feeling. Reduce the activation in the calves, or just that stress that's being put through there. Because yeah, as we mentioned, that hip shift forward, the weight on your calf is essentially like you're doing a calf raise all day. So that's why they're feeling tight, because that pressure. You also might have a lack of range of motion through your ankles because you're always in that flex position. So you're not able to get out of that range. So that line didn't feel too bad for Ninj. And then,
good.
So if we don't feel anything, we change our spot. So we move on. We're not just treating spots that don't need it. It's maximising the time we have. So when we find something, that's what we deal with. We slow down, we tune in, fix that. But if the stroke's moving through quite well, that's an indication we don't need to spend too much time there. So I can feel like there's a bit more coming up, which is in that classic calf money spot, which is on this side, just for reference. So it's where your soleus and your two gastroc heads meet. So it tends to be just in here. So slightly medial, but then the pressure's going out to that lateral side. And even that finger pressure there, I reckon, has got a bit on Ninja.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, as you can see from my fingerprint there, that's where we want to target. That's where a lot of people feel that tension. Moving through. So that's a couple of broader strokes if we need to. Yeah, like I was just mentioning there, we can pin and hold there. So we can shift our pressure just to find where that spot is. We're trying to find the line of the most tension. And scoop it out. We can do these little things where we sink out, move down, sink back in. Sweeping the leaves is what Ninj calls it. So you're just doing these little moves down, working our way down. So you sink out there, move it down. All right, so that side felt pretty good, but if it was tighter, yes, we'd spend longer on it. And then I reckon we found, so another way we can do, if we noticed on this side there wasn't too much, we can actually just do a little bit of palpation this way. And see, so straight away I could feel tension on that side, so there. So I reckon that lateral line does have a little bit more in it. So now I've identified it. We can also find that with the stroke now. A little bit more through this side, Ninj.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that would just be getting calves treated, but yeah, you need to work on what's going on up the body or down the body. We can also look at the ankles if they're not moving well. How can we get more range of motion through the ankles? That might be something we address in a future session. If we've noticed that this is probably the main cause and that's what we've identified, that's what we're going to start to work on, address that. And then as that starts to improve, then we can also look around the body for other things that might be contributing to that pain or that tightness. All right, so we're moving through there, clearing it out. Working through there till we've unraveled that tension. So let's go down to the gym now and work on some activations and some strengthening. Thanks guys, see you there. Okay, so we're down in the gym now. We're going to work on cementing those posture changes. So we're getting Ninj to stand side onto the camera. So the first thing we want to get out of this is this hip shift. So we've released all the pressure at the front, so we want Ninj to get the weight over his heels. We want him to make sure his feet are facing forwards. So straight away here, he should feel a release of tension and not as much pressure on his calves because he's moved his weight backwards. Then what we want him to do is tuck his bum under, so activate his glutes, because a lot of the time when you're shifted forward, as I mentioned, you just aren't able to actually extend your hip and get proper activation in your glute. Then we're going to get him to draw his belly button in, so he's sucking his belly button in towards his spine. And as he's doing that, he's thinking about lifting his rib cage up towards the roof. So he's thinking about elongating his spine, getting taller through here, getting some glute and ab engagement, all right? And making sure that weight is still over his heels, or a bit more over his heels. So he's still got his forefoot on the ground, but he's just shifted that weight. All right, so we just want you to get used to being in this position. The idea is that you're not going to walk around and be in this posture all the time. But if you know where this posture is, when you're moving, when you're walking, when you're just standing at your desk or standing during the day, you know where your posture is in relevance to I'm here or I'm too far back, okay? So it's finding that point where you're in the midline and that's your ideal posture. And by training that and teaching your body this, it's more that you become aware of where your posture is, so you create those changes. All right, so now we want to start to bring some movement into this. So we're just going to go through a simple hip hinge. Again, this is teaching us to shift our weight backwards. So Ninj, we want you to slowly push your hips back, dive your upper body over, and we're just starting to teach our body how to access our glutes by going back through and really exaggerating pushing back. And then from here, as you're standing up, you want to think about clenching your bum, pushing the hips through, all right? And then just rep out a few nice slow reps there, Ninj. So again, he wants to feel a lot of tension in his glutes, like they're sort of stretching and opening up. Bit of probably tension in his hamstrings as well. And then from there, he's standing up and squeezing through. All right, so this is a better exercise than just doing pelvic thrust on the floor, because the thrust, yes, you're getting the contraction of your glutes, but you're not actually teaching your body how to move and where you want your weight distributed. All right, and then, so you can do sort of 10 reps of that, start to really rep out, find those angles, do it with a mirror to your side so you can see that you're properly diving over, hinging back, really feeling your glutes. And then what we want to do is start to move this into more of a dynamic exercise. So we're going to get a slam ball here. If you don't have a slam ball, just use a medicine ball or something. So what we're going to do here is Ninja's going to pick up the ball. We want him to come up onto his toes. He's opening up through his abs. And then he's going to go back through that hip hinge pattern and slam the ball down. So again, he's going through a whole range of motion where he's up on his toes and then he's back on his heels. And we're starting to feel for where those points are. So your hips might come forward a little bit here, but then we're actually able to push back and dive over and go through an explosive movement. So let's just go through a few reps there, Ninj. Start off nice and slow. So we're elongating the abs, feel them, and then contract through and he slams through like that. And see how he gets back into that hip hinge pattern. Let's just go through a few there, Ninj.
Statue at the bottom.
That's it, solid at the bottom, up and back. And so he knows he's finding that neutral spine position that we've done in that standing posture. So when he's up here, he knows where his ribs are, he knows where his hips are, and then he's able to shift back and slam through, all right? Just like that. So up on his toes, back on his heels, all right? So keep repping out there. So nice and slow reps to start off with to really ingrain that patterning. All right, so there's 3 exercises. One more, Ninj, there it is. There's 3 exercises to work on to correct that posture, cementing those changes that we made during the treatment. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Done.
Good work.